Welcome to Calm Sleepy Tales. Thank you for joining me for tonight's whimsical story set in Widdersham, featuring Le Clair's Chocolatier, the enigmatic Étienne, the fabled Whimsy Window, and a very curious ingredient hunting adventure. This tale blends old world charm with a dusting of magical realism. First, let's begin by letting go of the day and enjoy this moment of stillness. Find a comfortable position, let your head rest, and close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in and gently exhale. With each breath, imagine the air around you becoming softer, warmer, more peaceful. As you breathe, feel the tension in your jaw, your forehead, and your back begin to melt away. Let your hands rest. Let your feet soften. Feel your body begin to relax. Your shoulders, your arms, your legs, slowly becoming heavier, as if they're sinking gently into the bed beneath you. Imagine the worries of the day slowly dissolving, like mist in the morning sunlight, drifting away, leaving only peace behind. You are safe. You are warm. You are exactly where you need to be. Let yourself surrender to this comfort. And when you're ready, we'll begin tonight's story. The Truffle That Remembered, a Widdersham tale from Le Clair's Chocolatier. Written with the faintest hint of orange peel and a generous swirl of velvet cocoa. Part 1. Whispers Through the Window. In the village of Widdersham, where time sometimes naps between the pages of an almanac, and the wind likes to meddle with hats, there stands a small shop with golden lettering so fine it catches the eye like spun sugar in morning light. Le Clair's Chocolatier. Every child in Widdersham knows that if you press your nose to the Whimsy Window at just the right hour, you might see chocolates doing a slow waltz across the marble counter. Spun, dipped, and drizzled beneath the gentle hands of Étienne Le Clair. Today, the Whimsy Window displayed something new. 3 delicate truffles were set on a tiny stage, each with a velvet curtain drawn halfway back. Above them, a sign in curling script read, "Today's show, notes of memory and moonlight." Inside the shop, the air was its usual intoxicating swirl of vanilla pod, molten sugar, and the sort of warm comfort that made people want to sigh and tell the truth. Behind the counter, Étienne was humming to a tray of cooling caramels. Not a tune anyone recognised, but it had a way of lingering in the ribs like the end of a lullaby. He looked up as the bell chimed, a deep, buttery sound that felt like the start of something. "Ah," he said softly, "you've come early." Part 2. The expedition is announced. By you, Étienne meant not one person, but several. For Thursdays in Widdersham were known as drift days, where the curious tended to arrive all at once. First came Mrs. Nettie Brookshaw, who hadn't smiled since the vicar fell off the maypole, gracefully but memorably. She was here for her usual tin of midnight hazes, though she never admitted they helped her dream of being young and barefoot in an orchard again. Then Tommy Cribb, aged 7.5, marched in holding a crayon-drawn map and a solemn purpose. "I need something for adventure energy," he said gravely. Étienne nodded and placed a bark of Widdersham hazelnut crunch in his palm. "Fuel for small nights," he said with a bow. And finally, in swept Mabel Thistle of Thistle and Crumb, apron dusted in flour, muttering about her new lemon lavender disaster. Étienne handed her a bite of first kiss fudge, and she chewed thoughtfully. "Still smugly perfect," she huffed. "Do you flavour these with smugness?" "No," he replied mildly, "but I do use a pinch of audacity." Then he turned to the whole shop. "It is time," he said, brushing cocoa from his cravat, "for an expedition." There was a rustle, a gasp, and someone dropped a cherry cordial as he shooed everybody out of the shop. Part 3. Into the wilds of Widdersham and beyond. Étienne's ingredient hunts were legendary and maddening. He never said where he went or why. He once returned with a box of candied fennel stamped with runes and snowflakes in midsummer. This time he simply said, "I am in need of 3 things. A whispering vanilla bean, honey that knows sorrow, and salt from where no salt ought to be." And then he was gone. The village buzzed for a full day. Where did he go? The Hollow Hills? The Rainberry Coast? Did he ride a stag with cinnamon antlers? He returned on the 4th evening, just as the sun dipped like a biscuit into marmalade skies. His boots were damp. His waistcoat smelled of sea air and mulled cedar. He carried a crate tied with ribbon and thorn. Inside, a single pouch of salt, shimmering with tiny blue flecks. A jar of honey that changed colour when you sighed near it. And a vanilla pod so fragrant it made the lights flicker in the shop. Part 4. The Truffle That Remembered. The next day, the Whimsy Window was veiled with silken cloth. A sign appeared. Closed. A flavour is becoming. It stayed shut for 2 days. Inside, Étienne stirred, tempered, and whispered to chocolates with great tenderness. Music swelled from the music box, which usually only played once a month, or when twins entered the shop. Cocoa dust danced like fireflies in the warm lamplight. And then, on the night of the spring equinox, the curtain rose. A single truffle sat beneath a bell jar of sugar glass, smooth and dark, with a shimmer of stardust on its surface. A note read, "Ask for the Forgotten Flavour. Midnight only. 1 per heart." At precisely 12, Miss Thorne from the second chapter arrived. She said nothing, simply nodded and held out her hand. Étienne placed the truffle there with a soft smile. She took a bite, closed her eyes, and tears rolled silently down her cheek. "Red bicycle," she whispered, "warm wind, and the smell of Mum's coat." She left without another word. Then came Fenwick Tole, the cobbler, who chewed with a frown and muttered, "Boot polish and birch bark, well I'll be." And Mabel Thistle, who laughed aloud after one nibble and shouted, "The raspberry tart I flung at Edward Pritchard in year 6. Word spread. The Forgotten Flavour was a memory in chocolate. Not made, but revealed. By dawn, the shop was quiet again. Étienne refilled the caramel vat. The music box was still. And in the Whimsy Window, a new sign appeared. Flavours remember more than people do. We are but the spoon. Epilogue. A gift for Tommy. That afternoon, young Tommy Cribb returned, carrying a shoebox tied with yarn. Inside was a stone shaped like a dragon's tooth, a pressed fern, and a note written in serious crayon. Dear Monsieur Le Clair, if you ever need more adventure energy, I found this under the big rock near the creek. Also, I think your shop smells like hugs. From Tommy. P.S. The chocolate bark made me brave enough to jump the garden gate. Twice. Étienne read it twice, smiled. And the next day, tucked behind the Whimsy Window was a single chocolate labelled Knight's Courage for future expeditions. Only Tommy knew what it tasted like.